Very good. I'm fine. Thank you. Where's the video? I can't see you. Hello. Okay. So what did you do today?
I went to school.
Okay. That's good. What else?
I went to school all day.
Okay. Oh, from what time? What time is your school?
6 o'clock p.m. from 12 o'clock p.m. and 1 o'clock. Nhầm. At 12 o'clock a.m. and 1 o'clock p.m. from 5 o'clock p.m.
Okay. So 6 a.m. to 12. Wow. And then another 1 to 5 p.m. That's a long hours of studying. Yeah.
Yes.
Can you say I go to school from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. and 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Can you say that? Can you say from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m.?
From
6 a.m.
6 a.m. To 12 a.m.
p.m.
p.m.
Okay, good.
No, to đúng rồi. Đúng rồi.
Yeah. Because 12 a.m. is midnight. That is midnight. And 12 p.m. is noon. Okay?
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So you eat around 12 p.m. Go back to your home and eat lunch.
Again.
Yeah. Do you eat lunch at home after 12 p.m.?
Okay.
You eat lunch after 12 p.m. After 12 p.m. from the school.
I have a lunch after
You bring it in the school? Do you bring your lunch in the school or you go to your house to eat lunch?
I go to at home.
Oh, okay. So, how far is your school? Like, do you walk going to the school?
No.
What do you do?
I go to school by motorbike.
Bike? No.
By motorbike.
Okay. Motorbike. I understand. Okay. So, where are we now? Question, right? Answering question. Right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, what was the last question? Why did I go to the cemetery?
Um, 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 I, 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 I go to the
Me.
You go to the cemetery in Guatemala.
Why did I go to the cemetery? Why?
Because you want to see what's happening.
Okay, well, I want to see what was happening. I went to the cemetery to see what was happening. Can you say what was happening? You went to cemetery to see what was happening.
Because you went to the cemetery to see what's happening.
What was happening?
What's happening?
This one. You went to cemetery to see what was happening.
You went to the cemetery to see what was happening.
Yes. So went and was is our past tense. Okay? We use past tense to describe. We use past tense to describe something that happened before, already happened before. Okay? Past tense. Okay?
No, why me?
Why me? What do you mean?
Why didn't for me?
What is that? You can type your question. You can write why.
Yes, continue.
Okay.
I understand.
Okay, good. Where is it? Okay. I went to the cemetery to see what was happening. Who went to the cemetery to see what was happening? Who went
You.
to the cemetery? Okay, good job. Yes, me. I went to the cemetery to see what was happening. Where was the cemetery? Where was the cemetery?
You again.
Where was the cemetery?
Mm, um um mm, the cemetery were in Guatemala.
Okay, that's right. But we use was. In Guatemala, the cemetery was in Guatemala because there is only there's no S in my question, so we have to use was. Okay. In my question, if I use cemeteries, it's plural, right? So we use were.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Where was the cemetery?
The cemetery was in Guatemala.
Good job. Yes, in Guatemala. The cemetery was in Guatemala. What is the Day of the Dead? What is the day? What is the Day of the Dead?
Mm, mm,
Is it a holiday?
yes.
Yes. Again, what is the Day of the Dead?
The Day of the Dead was were about this holiday.
Okay, the Day of the Day is holiday. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. Where? A holiday. The Day of the Dead is a holiday. When is the Day of the Dead? When is the Day of the Dead?
On November 1st.
Okay. The Day of the Dead was and is November 1st. So I went to the cemetery on the Day of the Dead to see what was happening. Can you say the Day of the Dead was and is November 1st?
The Day of the Dead
Was and is
was and
and is.
is on November 1st.
That's right. Was and is November 1st. Or like what you said, the Day of the Dead is on November 1st. But sometimes we can use was and is in our answer so that the one we are talking will understand that it always happened in Guatemala. It always happened November 1st. Okay?
Yes.
But that is, yeah, but you answered it right. It's just an additional information for you. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Your first answer is not wrong. I just add something. Okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. The Day of the Dead was and is November 1st. So I went to the cemetery on the Day of the Dead to see what was happening. What I found was quite interesting. Was it boring?
No.
No.
I
No, it wasn't boring. Can you say no? It wasn't boring.
No, it wasn't boring.
Good job. Was it interesting?
Yes.
Yes. Yes,
Yes.
it was interesting.
Yes, it was interesting.
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 Yes, it was interesting. The cemetery was interesting. How did I feel about the cemetery? How did I feel about the cemetery?
So you feel feels either feel quite interesting.
Okay, so the past tense of feel is felt.
Felt.
Okay, so can you do it again? Can you change feel to felt?
Felt. Felt.
Okay. I felt it was interesting, or I thought it was interesting. Interesting. Okay, can you say your answer again? You
You felt interesting.
it was interesting. You felt it was interesting. It was.
Is or is
It. It.
is
Yeah. You felt it was interesting.
yes.
Okay, can you say that again?
You felt it was interesting.
Okay. Yes, it was. I felt it was interesting. So, or I thought it was interesting. Was it boring or was it interesting?
Again.
My question is, was it boring or was it interesting?
Interesting.
It was interesting. Can you say that?
It was interesting.
Okay. Of course, it was interesting. What was interesting? What was interesting?
Quite interesting.
Which one? What is interesting? What is interesting in Guatemala? The
Again the answer.
the cemetery, right? Is it right? Interesting. The cemetery was interesting. Can you say that to me? The cemetery was interesting.
The cemetery was interesting.
Okay. I'll repeat my question, okay? What was interesting? What was interesting?
They
The
the
cemetery.
The cemetery was interesting.
Good job. Are you tired? What was interesting? The cemetery. You're right. The cemetery was interesting. When was the cemetery interesting? When was the cemetery interesting?
When on on
It was.
It was interesting on the day of the death, November 1st.
Good job. The atmosphere in the cemetery was like a party. Was the atmosphere very sad?
No,
No. The atmosphere was not sad. Can you say that to me?
no, the atmosphere atmosphere wasn't set.
Good job. The atmosphere was like a party. The atmosphere was very happy. Was the atmosphere sad or happy?
The atmosphere is happy. Was
The
happy.
atmosphere, was happy. Can you say it again?
The atmosphere was happy.
Okay, faster. The atmosphere was happy. The atmosphere was happy.
The atmosphere was happy.
Good job. Okay. So, the atmosphere was happy. The atmosphere was like a party. What was like a party? What was like What was like a party? What was like a party?
The atmosphere was like a party.
Good job. The atmosphere. The atmosphere in the cemetery was like a party. The atmosphere in the cemetery was like a party. Where was the atmosphere like a party? Where was the atmosphere like a party?
In the cemetery.
Good job. In the cemetery. The cemetery. The atmosphere was like a party in the cemetery. Was the atmosphere like a party at my house?
No. In the cemetery.
Yes, that's right. No, not at my house.
No, not
Okay.
at my house. No. No, not your house.
Okay. No, not at your house. No, not at your house.
No, not at the house.
One more time. No, not at your house.
No, not at your house.
Okay, good job. So, the atmosphere was like a party at the cemetery. The atmosphere was not like a party in my house. So, the atmosphere was like a party, though there were people everywhere. Families were sitting around the graves and of their dead ancestors. Where were the families sitting? Where were the families sitting?
Families were sitting around the graves.
Good job. They were sitting around the graves. Who was sitting around the graves? Who was sitting around the graves?
Families were sitting around the graves.
Good job. The families. Were they sitting around the trees? Were they sitting around the trees?
No.
No, they weren't sitting around the trees.
No, they weren't sitting around the trees.
Okay, they weren't sitting around the trees. Trees, I mean.
Trees.
Okay. Can you say that again? No, they weren't sitting around the trees.
No,
Sorry.
they weren't sitting around the trees. Around.
Okay. I forget the spelling. Around the my spelling was wrong, so it's correct now. Let's say it again. No, they weren't sitting around the trees.
No, they weren't sitting around the trees.
Good job. Oops, my lesson. They were sitting around. No, they weren't sitting around the trees. They were sitting around the graves. So where were they sitting? Where were they sitting?
They were sitting around the graves.
Yes, around the graves. Families were sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors. Were they sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors? Were they sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors?
In
Yes or no?
Yes.
Good job. If the question starts with where, the answer is yes or no. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. Where was, is, are, something like that.
Yes.
Do.
They were sitting around the grave of their dead
Okay.
ancestors.
If the question starts with, the answer is it either yes or no. Okay?
Yes.
Okay, just
Because I where
oh, okay. This one is yeah. This is where. This one
were
is where. Okay. That's okay. Okay. Let's continue.
yes.
They were sitting around the grave. So, where were they sitting? Where were they sitting?
They were sitting around the graves.
Good job. Families were sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors. Were they sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors? Were they sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors?
Yes. Yes,
They were.
they were were sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors.
Good job. What are you doing, huh? Charging your laptop? Charging? Were they sitting around the of the
Bin.
charging? Okay, I understand.
Yes, okay. Yes, okay.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
Ready? Yeah, okay. Were they sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors? Were they sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors?
Yes. They were sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors.
Okay. Were they sitting around the graves of their friends? Were they sitting around the graves of their friends?
No.
No, not really. They were sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors. Who was sitting around the graves? Who was sitting around the graves? Who was sitting around the graves?
Their dead ancestors.
Okay. Who was sitting around the graves? Who was sitting around the graves?
Families.
That's right. Families were sitting around the graves. Can you say that again?
Families were sitting around the graves.
Okay. Whose graves were they sitting around? Whose graves were they sitting around?
Mm,
Whose graves they were sitting around?
mm, mm, uh, uh, uh,
Whose graves?
and
Whose?
and their dead ancestors.
Good job. That's right. Their dead ancestors. There's ancestors' graves. So the graves were they sitting around were their dead ancestors. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. They were sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors. Were they sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors or the graves of their friends?
Mm,
They were sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors or the graves of their friends.
their dead ancestors.
Good job. Ancestors. That's right. They were sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors. They cleaned the graves and added fresh flowers. They cleaned the graves and added fresh flowers. Who cleaned the graves?
They cleaned the graves and added
Oh,
fresh flowers.
okay. That's right. Who is that they? The families?
Yes.
Okay. Can you
Families.
say the families
The
cleaned
families cleaned the graves and fresh
added?
added
Yeah, added.
added added
Added.
added
Added.
added.
Okay, good. Good job.
They cleaned they cleaned and the graves and added
Added.
added
Added.
added the
Added. Yeah, added. It's like dead. Added. Added.
added
Okay.
fresh flowers.
Okay. The families cleaned the graves and added fresh flowers. Can you say that again?
The families cleaned the graves and added fresh flowers.
Okay. What did they add? What did they add?
They cleaned the graves and added fresh flowers.
Okay. They added fresh flowers. Did they add food? Did they add food?
The again.
Did they add food?
No,
Okay. No, they didn't add food. Say it again.
no, they didn't. Um, didn't
Add.
add
Mhm.
added. mm, no, they didn't add food.
Okay. I'll send something for you. When we use did or didn't in the before the verb, the verb should be in present tense. Okay? Like they didn't add food. This one, okay?
Yes,
Because didn't, so we use add, not added. Okay?
yes.
Good. Oops. Just a minute. It's not working. Anyway, let's go back. Did they add money? Did they add money?
No, they didn't add money.
Okay, you're right. They didn't add money. They added fresh flowers. What did they clean? What did they clean?
What is they clean they cl- they cleaned the graves.
Okay, that's right. Past tense. Cleaned. Ed. They cleaned the graves. Whose graves did they clean? Whose graves did they clean?
Families cleaned the graves.
Oh, whose graves?
Who
Whose? Whose?
grave? Um, ancestor, their dead ancestors.
Okay. Their ancestors' grave. Oops. Their ancestors or dead ancestors. Just let me type. Oops. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry about that. Let me do it again. The last sentence.
Their dead ancestral graves.
Yeah. Their dead ancestors' graves. Sometimes this Skype I don't like to use. Okay. Their dead ancestors' graves. They cleaned their ancestors' graves. Where did they add flowers? Where did they add flowers?
Mm, mm,
Where?
mm, mm, mm. The cemetery, in the cemetery.
What's in the cemetery? The graves, right? They added flowers to the graves. They added flowers to the graves. Can you say that?
They again.
They added.
They added fresh flowers
To the, where? To the
to
graves. Graves.
the graves.
Okay, say it again.
They add fresh flowers to the graves.
Okay. Don't forget added. Added.
Added.
Okay. Okay. Question? Do you have question?
Mm, in the lesson.
No question?
No.
No. Can you move your computer? Sometimes I can't see your mouth. That's right. Okay, that's nice. That's right. They cleaned the graves and added fresh flowers to the graves. That's good. I walked through the cemetery and admired the beauty of all the colorful flowers. Where did I walk? Where did I walk?
You walk through the cemetery.
Okay, through.
Through.
Yeah, that's right. I walked through the cemetery. Did I walk through the park?
No. They didn't. You didn't walk through the park.
Okay. No, I didn't walk through the park. I walked through the cemetery. Where did I walk? Where did I walk?
You walk through the cemetery.
Good job. Who walked through the cemetery? Who walked through the cemetery?
You.
Okay. You walked. Can you say that? You
walk the you walk
Past tense. Yes.
You walk.
Walked. Yeah, T sound.
Walked. Upset.
It's like T sound.
Walked.
Walked. Walked. Walked.
Walked.
Yes, good job.
You walked through the cemetery.
Through the. Okay, one more time.
You walked through the cemetery.
Good job. Did I walk through the cemetery or did I walk through the park?
You walked through the cemetery.
Good job. That's right. And I admired the beauty of all the colorful flowers. And I admired the beauty of all the colorful flowers. Did I admire the beauty of the trees? Did I admire the beauty of the trees? Did I admire? Did I admire the beauty of the trees?
No. You admired the beauty of all the colorful flowers.
Good job. You know what is admire, right? Admired.
Admired.
You know it? Yeah. You know? Understand?
Yes. I understand.
Okay. Okay, good. Oops, where is it? Oh my gosh. I admired the beauty of the colorful flowers. Who admired the beauty of all the colorful flowers?
You admired the beauty of all the colorful flowers.
Good job. Where were the flowers? Where were the flowers?
Flowers were beautiful.
I mean, where can you find the flowers? Where were the flowers?
Flowers were in the cemetery.
Yeah, but we can say on the graves in the cemetery. The flowers were on the graves in the cemetery.
The flowers were on the grave in the cemetery.
Okay, one more time. The flowers were on the graves in the cemetery.
The flowers were on the grave in the cemetery.
Can you say graves? Graves, don't forget the S and V sound.
Graves.
Good job. The flowers were on the graves in the cemetery. Can you repeat that for me?
The flowers were on the graves in the cemetery.
Good job. Okay. The flowers were on the graves in the cemetery. Were the flowers in the park? Were the flowers in the park?
No. Mm,
They weren't in the park. No, they weren't
no,
in
they
the park.
weren't in the park.
Okay, so that's right. Were the flowers in my house? Were the flowers in my house?
No, they weren't. No, they weren't in your house.
No, they weren't in my house. Where were the flowers? Where were the flowers?
The flowers were on the graves in the cemetery.
Okay. Wow, that's complete one. Complete sentence. Okay. Just give me one moment. I'll just find the question again. Huh. Were they where's my question? It's gone. Were the flowers in my house? No, they weren't in my house. Where were the flowers? The flowers were on the graves in the cemetery. You answered it right. That's correct. Where did I walk? Where did I walk?
You walk through the cemetery.
Okay, that's good. I walked through the cemetery. When did I walk through the cemetery? When did I walk through the cemetery?
You walk through the cemetery on the day of the dead, November 1st.
Okay, that's good. That's right. November 1st, the day of the dead. November 1st. I walked through the cemetery on the day of the dead, November 1st. What was the cemetery like? What was the cemetery like?
The cemetery like a party.
Good job. But you forget the was. The cemetery was like a party.
The cemetery was like a party.
Good job. Was I curious about this holiday? Was I curious about this holiday?
Yes. You were curious about this holiday.
Yes, I was curious about this holiday. I will repeat the question and you'll say the answer, okay? Was I curious about this holiday?
Yes, you were curious about this holiday.
Can you say this? This with S?
Yes, this.
Okay. This holiday. Don't forget the sound of S, okay?
Yes.
Okay, I have more questions, okay? You'll answer. Which holiday was I curious about? Which holiday was I curious about?
This holiday.
Which holiday was I curious about? What kind of holiday? What is the holiday? What holiday we were talking about?
Mm, mm,
Which holiday was I curious about?
I'm curious. Mm, um,
About
about mm,
about the Day of the Dead. Right?
yes.
Okay, one more time. Which holiday was I curious about? Which holiday was I
Mm,
curious about?
the day of the death holiday
Yeah. Oh,
was you curious about?
You will say you were curious about the Day of the Dead.
You was curious about mm, um, the day of the death holiday.
Okay, good job. Next question. I was curious about the Day of the Dead, so I walked through the cemetery. There was also color in the sky because many kids were flying kites. Where was the color? Where was the color?
Mm, mm, where?
Where is the color?
Mm, mm, color flowers.
Okay, one more time. There was also color in the sky because many kids were flying kites. Because many kids were flying kites. I repeat, there was also color in the sky because many kids were flying kites.
Ah,
Where was the color? Where was the color?
mm, the the color was in the sky.
Yes. One more time. One question again. Where was the color? Where was the color?
The color was in the sky.
That's right. It was in the sky. In the sky. Why was there color in the sky? Why was there color in the sky?
Because many uh, kids are flying kites.
Good job. Because many kids were flying kites. Because many kids were flying kites. Can you say it again?
Yes. Because many many kids are flying kites.
Okay, that's right. Question. There was color in the sky because many kids were flying kites. Who were flying kites? Who were flying kites?
Many kids. Many kids. many kids were flying kites.
Okay, that's right. Kids were flying kites. Was the sky colorful or was the sky gray?
Mm, mm, again.
Was the sky colorful or was the sky gray?
Mm, colorful.
The sky was colorful.
The sky colorful.
Was colorful.
The sky was colorful.
Good job. Okay, I think that's all for today. We're done. So I hope you remember our lesson and we'll do it again tomorrow. I will ask many questions again.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And your homework is to practice some pronunciation that you're not sure how to pronounce it. And another homework is to listen to the audio 10 times, okay?
Yes.
They said that when you listen to the audio, English audio, for 2 hours in one day, you will be a fast learner of English. So if you have free time, like 10 minutes, you're just listening to something or just talking to your classmate, or you're not busy really, just listen 10 minutes and then another 10 minutes and then another 10 minutes, as long as you finish the 2 hours, or at least 10 times.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Every day. Okay?
Yes.
All right. Have a great day. Bye bye. Take
Yes.
care.
Bye.
Do you have question?
No.
No question. Okay, good night.
Yes. Good night.